can't seem to stay away from here. We just like circled around and came back. We haven't even gone home yet.
It's because we love bar winkles so much, so we keep coming back.
My boyfriend at the time was Steve Moriarty, who was the drummer in the Gits, and I always loved watching him play, so I think I gravitated towards it partly because of that, but also just liked that instrument and just thought it would be really challenging and fun to learn how to play it. And I had zero interest in being a front person or standing up in front of people.
I got my head in my hands again. I got my heart in my fist again. I think my soul's doing the twist again. I hit my hands on my fist, soul doing the twist. And we'll be seeing you often and then. Out on the streets you'll be killing again. You'll have a kid in the coffin again. I can't make up my mind. I couldn't do it 'cause I couldn't get caught. You can't make up my mind. You couldn't do it 'cause you don't have one. Don't ask me for a dime, you're poor. And we can't hurt you. We can't hurt you no more. So you come on down, pick them around, leave them in the bed of the bleed. Then you come on back tomorrow, but you can do it again. Don't find something pain. I'm big enough fun to let you walk away. Walk back down the street, teaching the young your evil way. So you run upstairs, wash your hands, come back down, get them dirty again. Oh yes, you run upstairs, wash your hands, come back down, get them dirty again. I got my head in my hands again. I got my heart in my fist again. I think my soul's doing the twist again. And we'll be seeing you often again. I can't make up my mind. I couldn't do it 'cause I couldn't get that. You can't make up my mind. You couldn't do it 'cause you don't have one. Don't ask me for a dime, you're poor. And we can't hurt you. We can't hurt you no more. So you come on down to the ground, and I believe when you
type is totally a drummer.
Yeah.
Because just bash on shit. Bash. Just let me sit back here and bash on shit.
And I can remember when 7 Year Bitch got started, there was Valerie Agnew and Celine and Stephanie Sargent and Liz Davis. And they were all huge fans of music and huge fans of the Gits.
So when we first started playing, it was like we had to borrow their gear. I mean, we didn't know shit. We didn't know what the hell we were doing. So they just totally helped us. And then listen to us thrashing away, banging around down there. I mean, I can't even imagine what it was like for them.
We would have to go and get like a half rack of beer to loosen up and get comfortable enough to just start playing.
So we'd be like, you guys go away, like go somewhere else.
Yeah, just go away, don't listen to us.
Oh, get that fucking camera out of my face.
I had been playing music since I was 5. I started playing piano and a few other instruments, and my mom was a singer and my dad was her accompanist. So my dad was a professional musician.
There was, some, I think, encouragement, probably specifically from Mia, to say, you guys can do this. You don't need to just stand in the audience.
She's like, no, you should be the singer. And I'm like, okay.
And I was like, I'll play drums. My
Sure,
boyfriend
yeah.
plays drums.
Steve starts showing her how to play drums. We meet this other girl, Elizabeth, who also worked in the market. Oh, she's playing bass with, let's have her come out there and jam with us.
Me would always come up and be like, what you're doing is good, it's real, it's true, you guys sound really good. And she paid attention. She would pick out certain things. Like, you knew she wasn't just giving it lip service.
And I knew that her bedroom was right above our practice space, and I was like, whoa, that was really intimidating,
What goes on in the mind of a man?
Year's Eve show that we did at the Rat House was all like, you know, you see it with Mia and everybody like, no fucking war, and we were all just like really, there was all that going on that was affecting everybody's whole psyche and just whatever.
When 7-Year Bitch got rolling, totally out of the basement of the Rat House with so much help from them, and when we started to get popular, and then even to the point where, you know, we were getting signs and stuff, it was really weird.
So we gotta thank Beth and Eddie and Seaweed and everybody too. Come to
got the call from Steve saying that Mia was missing, and he was hoping that it wasn't a repeat of Stephanie, which made me think drug-related, which didn't make sense.
Fuck, these guys going to New York and playing these shows.
We taught them how to play their instruments, and they're playing in New York before us. They got to be on the cover of The Rocket, and we barely ever got them mentioned in that rag.
This is what happens, I suppose, in an intense rock scene. You either become rivals or you become friends. And they were clearly friends.
Progresses from being in the basement, learning how to play, and then you go on to more and more steps, and that's a natural progression of a band, and you can see that that's a good thing, it's all fine. But then you get to this point where you're looking backwards and you're like, well, maybe it was better back then.
Our first tour was in Europe. It was beneficial for us to be from Seattle, because I remember posters for shows would be like,
oh my God,
7-year bitch, the godmothers of Riot Girl from Nirvana Town.
No kidding, like verbatim.
Yes, I'm quoting
picture
directly.
of Elizabeth, like they had taken one of our promo photos, blown her up because she was wearing a tank top that said American Woman Fitness, in this like with a barbell on it or something, and it was like Elizabeth were, and we would get to these places, and they're like, you know, a lot of culture centers and places like that, and there's just enormous like movie-sized poster of Elizabeth, American Woman Fitness, and then it would say, yeah, the godmothers of the Riot Girl movement.
Yeah. when the outside world sort of descended upon Seattle, like we've discovered grunge in Seattle music scene, there was a really, for the most part, a really good sense of humor about that.
Yeah.
Nobody was taking that too seriously. Even the bands that were benefiting the most from it had a really, still had that punk roots and had their politics in order for the most part. But 7 Year Bitch wasn't just a band of, here's some individuals that make music. We were something beyond that. It was the age that we were, the environment that we were in, the time that it was, and the way that it all happened. So without any premeditation, without any plotting or planning, the way everything was super spontaneous and natural, is something that I do think it's kind of a once in a lifetime thing.
Why was Seattle so interesting there? What was it about Seattle in the early 90s that like had this thing? And I think that you just nailed it for like not only for our band but for lots of others. And there was so much like-mindedness of that going on, and that bands that really liked each other and like really got along and like really had a good time and really into spending time together, and also friends with other friends' bands. And so there was a lot of like member swapping between bands and like shows being put together just so that you could play with your friends.
Well, can I bounce like junk, flash so bad. Or wouldn't it be nice to get what you